Next will be Ms. Pam Brunell, Emergency Management Director.
Good morning, Commissioners. I actually have two action items. One of them, the first one is the approval and signing of the resolution for our flood mitigation assistance plan that we've written, so it'll be annexed into our LMS. The state has already approved it, but we just need to adopt it.
Pleasure of the board.
So moved.
We have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Sanders, second by Commissioner Lockley. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That motion carries.
The second one is the approval and signing of the contracts for the residential construction mitigation program with the contractors Florida Retrofit and the shutter contract J.P. Roberts.
We have a motion on the board, floor by Commissioner Massey,
Second.
second by Commissioner Sanders. Any further discussion? Mr. Lockley's declared a conflict. There being no further discussion, all in favor? All opposed? The motion carries. Ms. Pam, you have anything else for the board?
No, sir. We've started application for another round of this residential mitigation.
I did see when we were going, I was looking through this stuff last night, that they seemed like they'd come up with some additional funding that you might be able to do some additional projects.
Yes, sir.
And
We
that's
already
good.
have those houses in the hopper, already had them inspected, so they told us that last year, and we had our hopes up, had our houses picked, and then they only gave us like $6,000, which isn't enough to do hardly anything with. Hopefully, we've asked to do 2 extra houses, so we're hoping that we'll get that amount of money. But until it actually is awarded and I bring that amended contract back to y'all, we won't do anything. We'll just sit and wait.
Okay. Does the board, any of the board members have anything for Ms. Brunell?
One thing, Commissioner.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, item 3 of my report, inform the board, as requested by the chairman, a link to the weather stem page with Franklin County's weather information is on the county's website. On the website's homepage, under Resource tab, you click on the website homepage, Resource tab, then on the weather stem link. 2K Web Group, the county's webmaster, configured the link so it opens with the current temperature, weather conditions, and other key weather information. There's also a weather stem app for your iPhone and your Android devices. Sometimes you go through, like, try to go to Franklin weather stem, it gets a little confusing. The way 2K Web Group did it, as you open up, it opens up to the temperature right away, all your weather conditions. You scroll down, you see the week's forecast, and on the right-hand side, there's a wealth of information. And the camera links are there too.
Yes,
It makes it a lot easier if people use that process, I think.
And I would encourage the public to use it because
Yes.
it is information, especially during the hurricane season, most especially. So that's a good program. I'm glad you got that installed on the county website so that citizens can access that. Be really good. Anything else for Ms. Pam Brunell from the board? Being nothing else, thank you for coming in today, Pam.
All right.
Next will be Mr. Eric Lovestrand, Extension Agent Officer.
Good morning, Commissioners. I had one item on my written report that related to the legislative funding that you folks acquired for an extension facility. And I believe Alan had that as a topic on his agenda as well. If it pleases the board, we could talk about it at this time.
I think he's paid attention to it, Alan.
We'll get him when he's ready.
That's your first item on the report, Alan.
He's had some conversations that he can update you folks on.
Okay, this is item number 1 of my report. Board direction on the utilization of the remaining legislative appropriation for our county extension office. As the board is aware, the 2016 legislative session allocated $250,000 of state funds to improve the Franklin County IFAS extension office. At the time of the request, the University of Florida was going to provide additional funds with the goal of a complete renovation of the old DEP building at Scipio Creek here in Apalachicola into a large IFAS extension office. The legislative funds were sent to DAX as DAX was going to hold the money until UF finished its evaluation and entered into a contract with DAX. By the time the UF Building Department was through with evaluating the project, the cost had ballooned to more than $1 million, and UF decided that they would not commit that much money to the project. During the time UF was evaluating the building, the county paved the road and the parking areas in anticipation of UF moving ahead with renovations. The UF and DAX agreed that the county had acted in good faith, so the $70,000 worth of road paving for the building was paid to the contractor out of the $250,000 of legislative money. This leaves some $180,000 of funds to complete the legislative intent of providing the county extension office with a new space. I have spoken to and received an email from Mr. Craig Chris Dax confirming that Dax will enter into a contract with Franklin County if the board wants to move forward with developing a building for the extension office. According to Mr. Chris, some action needs to be taken to encumber the funds by December 31st, and then if there is any action at all, Dax can grant an extension until June 30th, 2018 to complete the project. Michael Morone and I have met several times with Mr. Lovestrand, County Extension Agent, to determine the best place for his office. At this time, I would like board action to authorize up to $500 for Mr. Doug Schuer, architect, to give Michael and I some professional advice on some options that we have looked at. So that's why I'm asking to spend $500 to get architect down here and assist us in this. We're looking at renovating some buildings, or that's sort of the main focus, and we just wanted to make sure that before we enter into a process that we have enough money to do what we want to do. University of Florida went down that path and wanted to spend $1 million. We recognize we only have $180,000, so we want to be able to get a complete building for $180,000.
Don't want to lose that money.
Pleasure of the board.
You got your eyesight on a building for 180?
Yes, sir.
So move.
We have a motion by Commissioner Lockley. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Jones. Any further discussion? There being no further discussion, all in favor? All in favor? All opposed? Motion carried.
That's all I had for the board today.
Any other questions from the board for Mr. Eric? Thank you, Eric.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman, if you don't mind, I'd like to address item number 1 from my report. At your February 7th meeting, the board tabled until today's meeting Mr. George Floyd's variance request to allow for a commercial dredge, fill, and spoil site placement on property located at the northwest corner of Franklin Boulevard and West Bayshore Drive, also known as 41 West Bayshore Drive on St. George Island. Mr. Dan Garlick is here this morning to discuss this request.
Dan, would you come forward, state your name for the record?
Dan Garlick, agent for Maritime Museum. We were moving along. We still got some negotiations we're doing with Mark Currington, and we may have found another site that may help alleviate some of the spoil that we won't have to put into the critical habitat zone. So we're wrestling with this thing. We need more time. Mark's not here, unfortunately, but there's some areas that Mark has agreed to do work in the critical habitat zone and some areas that he would ask us to negotiate otherwise, so we're trying to find an alternative source. We're asking for more time. I know you don't like pushing these things forward like this, but it is a big project, and it's really, really important that we deal with not only this as part of it, but also the Corps of Engineers. So we've got more work to do, and I would like to request extension to the second meeting in April, if you can approve that.
Mr. Chairman, can I have the floor for just a minute?
Mhm.
Mr. Schuler?
Yes, ma'am.
Since this was sort of like, we were supposed to make the decision on February 7th, the board said we table it until today. Where do we stand on the legalities of things?
I think if both parties are in agreement to extend the deadlines in which you have to make these decisions, then they can't come back later, particularly since this is a request on the applicant's part to extend the deadline. And I think they would have very little chance of successfully complaining that you did not make a timely decision on the application. So I don't really see much risk to the county. I mean, there's certainly risk there in the extension. I just don't think it's a lot of risk in terms of if there's an adverse decision by the board in this case, if they were to challenge it and say, well, one of the problems was you did not make a timely decision on their application, I think they would have a hard time standing up and complaining to the judge that you agreed to two requests on their part to extend the deadline. So I would not have any objection.
Extend until the first meeting in April?
He said second.
They've asked for the second meeting.
I'll make a motion, extend it second week of April.
We have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Massey. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by
But-
Commissioner Sanders.
Can I add the discussion part in it, part of my second? This can't keep on going, Dan. Y'all need to make a decision whether you're gonna do it and let the board vote up or down on it, because we can't keep on doing this. It ties up our agendas.
No, and I appreciate you helping this thing. Like I say, Mark's been out 2 meetings in a row that we've tried to be here
Yeah,
for DOT.
I understand. I understand. But I will second Mr. Massey's.
Any further discussion by the board? All those in favor? All opposed? The motion carries. Thank you, Dan. All right, back to the agenda here. Ms. Deborah Belcher, CDBG report.
Michael.
Which Michael?
Either one. There we are.
Are these all copies of the same?
Yes. Good morning. Yes, it's in addition. That, I'm having you, giving you a report now, and also sort of a budget status and projection, along with what you already have about the bids that we received for the mobile home replacements.
Okay.
We received bids on 5 mobile home replacements on February 27th, and they were higher than I'd hoped on the exposure Ds, but I'm just not thinking we're going to get better. We had to deal with, you know, as we've said before, the exposure D, there are just not a lot of options out there for manufactured housing that meets the exposure D requirements. And all the dealers said the same thing. Most of them wanted to do a modular. This particular dealer came up, talked to their factories and said, would you please turn this modular into a manufactured home? And that's what we ended up with. But, and as you can see, there's one that is especially high because it is in the floodplain, has to be elevated up, and the owner is disabled, so we have to have that ADA ramp. And all of that combined, and there's a little tree removal to get the units in. So that's just, and they are double wides. That is, to get a single wide, exposure D isn't going to happen. So we're into just a different set of options. The other two that are not in exposure D locations, we were able to get Wind Zone 3 single wide that meet the owner's needs.
Ms. Debbie, you're saying exposure D, they did not build a single wide trailer that will
We have
comply
not
with that?
found anyone to offer it to us.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Ms. Belcher, on this project, just for information per person, could these be houses?
Could we build houses instead? Yes, sir, we could. I don't think that we would, I doubt we would get them for less.
Well,
Maybe that one, the highest one would be a little closer, but,
this is 109, right?
yes, sir. Now, and that, well, 108, 361 and 108, 561, and the variable there between those two was the demolition cost of the existing. That's why.
I guess my question would be, back there when we got money from the SHIP program, if you talk to Laura, we got money from the SHIP program and we got together with some contractors and like, they built 4 houses.
Mhm.
And I think some of them are 80, 70,
Yeah. Mhm.
stuff like that, so
Mhm.
I don't know the difference in your program or not, I don't know how it's supposed to be spent or what, but that's why I was asking the question.
I understand the question. Now, we did get pricing on the modulars, which are built to building code
No, these was
instead
stick-
of the HUD code, and
Yep.
that's the 118,461.
These was stick built.
Yeah, well, at the very beginning, the board instructed me to go with mobile, so.
Yeah, but
um,
I
mean,
was the main one advocating that. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but Jesus Christ, I didn't know it'd be over $100,000 for a trailer.
yep,
I
yep.
mean, you know, we wanted to try to make the money spread across
Mm-hmm.
the county and help as many people as possible, but at $109,000 apiece, that eliminates helping a lot of people.
Now, these are also, there's the demolition of the existing, there's the connection of utilities, there's, all of that is taken into consideration.
This is a whole package deal.
Yes, oh, and
That's how
another
it
thing to
was.
keep in mind, this includes the sales tax. See, that's another thing when you're buying a manufactured home, you're paying sales tax.
But all this,
And if we were site building, we wouldn't be. So you got thousands of dollars of sales tax in here too.
no,
You still
all
get
that,
more
all
money
that
for
was,
your bank.
all that was included. If you have to talk to Laura.
I understand what you're saying. That was from the very beginning. We talked about doing site-built versus modulars,
because
versus manufactured.
What they did was, they demoed and everything. But they got with the contractors and
I guess the question is, can you replace a mobile home with a stick-built that'll cost less than a replacement mobile home? Is that what you guys are kind of asking?
and will they let you build
Or
one
do-
in that area?
Or do you have to replace, the program restrict that you got to replace a mobile home with a mobile home? a modular
That was
home?
the board's policy. It
Oh.
was not a state requirement.
We voted on that about 6 or 7
No,
weeks
I
ago.
understand, I understand. I think the board thought at the time it would be cheaper to replace the mobile homes with a modular home or another mobile home, not that it would
getting
cost
close.
more than what those ship-built houses
need to close
were.
that
Now, they are a lot smaller now, so we'll have to measure square footage versus square footage and.
And the displacement of the people while
Yes.
they're waiting to build a home where these people are gonna live.
Yes, so there's a lot going into it. So, and from
But,
my
but
understanding-
you're exactly right, Mike. I was the one that stated that we needed to help as many people as we could, and I didn't want to go out and build a bunch of brand-new homes for $120,000 and this and that, because I thought we could rehab more of these homes rather than having to replace all these homes, thereby making the money available more and spread across and helping more people.
Yeah, get more bang for our buck, basically.
Well, you're able to reach out and help more people, but a lot of these homes that she has went into obviously are not rehabable.
Correct.
They need to be tore down because of a lot of different issues, and I won't get into all that.
No, I'm not saying don't do it. I mean,
Yeah.
I wanna see them done, I just wanted to get the best for your book.
Yeah.
I think at this stage of the game, we need to be closed out in November. My recommendation would be to proceed on this, and on the next grant, we consider other options, but on this one, that we proceed along.
I make a motion to proceed on, go ahead with it.
We have a motion by Commissioner Masters, second by Commissioner Jones. Any further discussion?
I've got one question. Right here, you got tree removal. We're having to pay for trees being moved and all that too?
No, okay, there's, in some cases, like, I think it's more of a limb issue for, on Patton Drive. On Sheila Shivers, I don't know if you know where she lives, but she's got a lot of pine trees in her yard, and her driveway clearance is not enough. So it's just gonna have to be a few.
They got a trim out up above and on the
Yes.
side.
Well, and on one of them, I think they're actually gonna have to cut a couple
Well,
of them
I'm not
down.
asking about the trees being removed. Is that an allowable expense though,
It's
that you
whatever
can
it
charge
takes
off
yes,
to the grant?
Yes, ma'am. It's whatever it takes to get the job done.
Okay.
And also, these include septic abandonments on Ridge Road and connection to the new sewer that we had the CDBG pay for years ago. That's all included, the fees and everything. This is a turnkey project.
When I look at the bottom of this paper that you give, it says, budget includes construction, loan recording fees. these people are taking out a loan? I mean,
It's the county's deferred payment loan that you have, like the SHIP program.
right, they do
These
have
will-
to, so these
will be
people, we're not
10
giving them
years.
all this money. They got to make payments on
No,
this
sir.
stuff?
There's no payments, but it's it's like a conditional grant. That was the board's policy. It gets prorated out over a 10-year period.
Just like shit, basically you pay with time. You spend,
Okay.
your,
Not eligible.
it's reduced every time.
So they can't take the home and sell it, and put the money in their
Exactly.
pocket?
Right, right.
Exactly.
There's a
Basically
lien
what
on
it
the
amounts to.
property for this amount. It's like a mortgage. It's-
Right.
Yes. Yes,
So
sir.
if they live in it for
How
10
many
years?
years?
10.
10.
I know the other's 5.
Well, we
So
made
this
this
is 10.
program based on the length of time based on how much money they got. For example, the first one that we did, a rehab, it was, I think it's up to 15,000. We're saying 5 years. 15 to 40 would be 7 years, and above 40 would be 10 years.
Have we put in for another grant?
We can't until we close this
Till
one.
we close this one out? Because I'd like to see some changes made when we move forward on the next one. Okay, we do have a motion and a second on the floor. All those in favor? All opposed? That motion carries.
And I also need you to waive the limit. I think right now it's $75,000 was our hopeful estimate. So we need you to waive the assistance limit
So moved.
for each of these 5.
We have a motion by Commissioner Lockley. Second by Commissioner Jones. Any further discussion? Yes, I'd like to see us stick with that limit from here forward. You may not be able to replace homes, but you can do what you can for remodeling them.
Well, we would only, the problem I've encountered is the majority of the applicants, what they have is just not a
Not
good candidate
rehabbable.
for rehab. That's the thing.
I understand.
Now, and I am just giving you, just for this is my best guesstimate on the budget now. And you'll see there's a little bit more money in each of these than these bid amounts, and that's to pay for your doc stamps, recording, things like, that's just an estimate there, not exact. And I've thrown in a couple of numbers on 2 mobile home rehabs, which are more in line with what you want to do. I know anytime I do one of these programs, if I'm going to do some replacements, I got to find some inexpensive rehabs to balance it out. And so you've already approved Pam Bathis, and today I'd like approval for Danny and Dana Rose, if subject to environmental clearance and final eligibility.
So how many more, you want us to waive the fee?
Waive the limit only
Okay.
on the 5 that we just had, that you just awarded. And then,
Let's take that item. We do have a motion and a second on that item, correct?
Yes, sir.
All those in favor? All opposed? The motion carries. Now the next one.
okay, what I would like is approval to proceed with Danny and Dana Rose's application. Theirs will be a mobile home rehab. This is one of the ones you like to see.
That's what you have left out of the balance that you're showing here?
The 41,809
Right.
is available for one more. If we do all of these, that'll be 9, and then there'll be that much left for one more. Or 2 more minors.
And that's the one you want to approve?
I would like, for the Roses, theirs will be a rehab. I'm just throwing out a figure of 15,000 for that one. I don't know what it's gonna be, but in your budget sheet, you can see how.
Right.
Okay, and so what I've done throughout the program is I've come to you and told you who I think is ready to proceed with. You know, they're not out for bid or anything. I have not done the environmental, but this one, the Rose project, I think it's a good rehab. It's a retired couple, taking very good care of it, but they have a bad septic tank and a few other issues that need to be taken care of. And-
Second.
We have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Sanders, second by Commissioner Lockley. Any further discussion?
Yeah, I got a question now. Oh, you got you done pick your contractors already?
No, sir, not for rehab. We go out to bid on that.
Okay. I hope you get some good ones, because we having a little problem out there with the ship.
We,
Not all of them. We
yeah,
got to put
the
them
rehab,
in.
we've done one rehab, and the owner is very satisfied so far. The only thing she's had is a light fixture's gone out a couple of times on the outside, but other than that, she's okay.
Go ship, since they got red back, they doing better. But them what they had wasn't too sharp.
Well, part of it is how you write your specifications, how you do your inspections. I mean, this, I've been doing this a long time, and I do my own work on this, and
It
I'm
wasn't-
very particular about it.
There was no specification, there was sorry words.
We do have a motion and a second on the floor, is that correct?
Yeah.
All those in favor? All opposed? That motion carries also.
Okay, so I will proceed along with the contracts and loan documents on these 5, and then we'll move along. And I do have other applicants, just so you'll know, that we will not be able to assist on this grant because they're going to be replacements. What I'm doing, though, is everybody that calls me or that is referred to me, I'm keeping a log. And I'm trying to get to them as they come to me. Now, the Rose that's an example of one, they're jumping ahead because the others are replacements and they're a rehab.
And then you don't have the money available
Right,
for
right.
replacement.
So that happens, but I'm keeping this log so that if the county chooses to apply for another housing grant, we will have a waiting list.
Thank you for coming. Anybody have anything else for Ms. Belcher? Thank you for coming in today.
Thank you, sir.
Doing a good
Board-
job.
The board recess for 5 minutes.